You want to do that little introduction here about the meeting law?
Yeah, so I just wanted to share with everybody in the spirit of New York open meeting law, this meeting is being held in a hybrid format. We have people in the room, we have people online via Zoom, and the general public is able to refer to the publicinput.com platform. I do want to remind folks in the room, we have microphone plugs around the table that are pretty sensitive, and you might not hear it in this room, but the folks on Zoom will hear you. And on public influence. But that just is something I would like you to be aware of. When we get to the public input portion of the meeting, the public is able to submit comments via chat or email. We've made a concerted effort to make it easy for the public to observe and not need a computer, so they can get in with the phone, they can get in with text, they can get in. Basically, you don't need a computer or internet connection to participate. The video is being recorded and will be archived to the GTC website. For the members of the public, as I mentioned, we have use publicinput.com, dedicated website for our meeting. Observers can call in toll free, they can text, they can email. That information is on the screen. Okay, this is our agenda for today.
Thank you, Jim. Joe, would you please conduct roll?
Certainly. Genesee County, Stein.
Present.
Livingston County, David Lefebvre.
Present.
Monroe County Legislature, Yerusha Roman.
Here.
Ontario County, Todd Campbell.
Here.
Orleans County, William Johnson.
John Pepinetti representing.
Seneca County, Michael Enslow. Wayne County, Anthony Bruno.
Here.
Wyoming County, Rebecca Ryan. Yates County, Leslie Church. Monroe County Executive, Adam Bello.
Tom Frank is on his way.
Monroe County Planning Board, William Santos. Monroe County Supervisors Association, Stephen Schultz. Monroe County at Large, Jeffrey McCann.
Scott Lennox is representing.
Monroe County at Large, Daniel Hogan.
Chris Ballin.
City of Rochester Mayor, Malik Evans.
Richard Perrin representing.
City of Rochester Council, Miguel Melendez. City of Rochester Planning Commission, David Watson.
Present.
City of Rochester at Large, Eric Frisch. Genesee Finger Lakes Regional Planning Council, Michelle Stein.
Emily Royce representing.
Rochester Genesee Regional Transportation Authority, Donald Jeffries.
Miguel Velasquez representing.
Empire State Development Corporation, Hope Knight.
Steve Goldie representing.
New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Basil Sagos.
Timothy Walsh representing.
New York State Department of Transportation, Marie Teresa Dominguez.
Chris Ray representing.
New York State Thruway Authority, Frank Hoare.
Sean Carrington representing.
Federal Aviation Administration, Evelyn Martinez. Federal Highway Administration, Rick Marquis. And Federal Transit Administration, Michael Coletta.
Thank you, Joe. Next, we have the public forum. I'll ask if GTC staff had any written comments from the public, and ask also if there's anyone online who's wishing to speak with the council here before we move forward.
Nobody online.
Nobody.
Or nobody expressed an interest in. Lori, I don't know if there's anything we can do. It sounds like the folks on Zoom, it's quiet when they're coming through. This is just me.
Yeah. Okay. We'll try that.
Next, we have the approval of the minutes of our last regular meeting. I'd ask for a motion and a second to consider these at this time. Okay, thanks. Are there any corrections to the draft minutes that were in your agenda? Hearing none, I'd ask for, take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's carried. Also like to inform the board that, planning committee, the January 11th meeting, were in our packet, and also the draft minutes from February 15th, were presented to us also. Jim, some communications and announcements, please.
Yeah, just to announce, Bercia Roman was elected president of the Bear County Legislature. She is now a member of the GTC board, and Saul Monero has been designated as his alternate. Anthony Verno was elected the chairman of the Wayne County Board of Supervisors, so he is now a member, and Jim Brady will continue as a designated alternate for Wayne County.
Sounds good. We'll move on to reports. I'm sorry, Jim.
That's okay, sorry. Just to keep an update on the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that we were awarded in December. There's a national webinar for new awardees held on January 13th. We'll get an overview of the process for developing and executing the agreement with Federal Highway. This will be different than our normal planning funds that are routed through New York State DOT. We'll have a correct agreement. The process is going to take a few months as they execute new contracts for every recipient across the country. We are coordinating with the New York Division Office of Federal Highway to prepare that federal agreement. They will be our conduit to headquarters in Washington, D.C. But then we've been taking the time. I previously mentioned we were hiring Al Bartolotta as a special projects program manager to take on this effort. He's been working on understanding the requirements for local road safety plans and drafting RFPs. The thought is that this will allow us to proceed more quickly once the agreements are in place, rather than waiting for the agreements and starting the RFP process. We have the potential to release the RFPs and not execute contracts until after a federal agreement is in place. But this way we don't lose any more time unnecessarily. As a reminder, the effort will result in 10 local road safety plans, one in each of the 9 counties and one in the city of Rochester. But in order to get those contracts or those plans conducted relatively quickly, say 12 to 15 months in parallel, it would be very difficult to have one consulting team do all 10. So the thought is to break it into 3 separate contracts, RFPs. One would be Monroe County and City of Rochester, since Monroe County is the traffic engineer for the city, it makes sense to combine them. Then the west side counties are Livingston, Tennessee, Wyoming, Livingston on a contract. The east side counties, Wayne, Ontario, and Seneca on a contract. The thought being that the most efficient way to, as I said, run those concurrently, but also by bundling those multiple counties, we make a larger contract that's more attractive to getting in firms. So we're hopeful we get some good proposals and we're ready to move forward. And that's my announcements.
Thank you, Jim. Move on to the report and action on old business. Yes, Scott, please give us a planning committee update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. The planning committee met on January 11th and February 15th. Recommends that the GTC board adopt the fiscal year 2024-2025 Unified Planning Work Program, accept 4 reports as evidence of completion of the Unified Planning Work Program tasks, which included the last mile or last site plan review for multimodal transportation, the City of Rochester downtown sign assessment, the Lakeville Corridor Strategic Plan, and the Village of Warsaw Active Transportation Plan. Also amend the federal fiscal years 2023 to 2027 transportation approval program as requested by the Federal Transit Administration. And also amend the National Performance Measures Report and the federal fiscal years 2023 to 2027 transportation approval program by revising the highway safety performance targets and the transit safety performance targets. Additionally, the planning committee took the following actions. We approved the draft fiscal year 2024-2025 UPWP for public review. We approved scopes of work for 2 UPWP tasks, which included the Interloop North Mobility and Development Strategy and the Genesee Finger Lakes Regional Trails Initiative update. And lastly, we approved 2 administrative modifications to the federal fiscal years 2023-2027 Transportation Improvement Program, as requested by the New York State Department of Transportation. That included modifying the phases of Route 31 and 31A and Redmond Road intersection, and deferring phases of Route 19 of the Black Creek Bridge Replacement Project. And report.
Thank you very much, Scott. Jim, if you would please, GTC staff.
Sure, just to give an update on our search for new office space, the management team, Jody Binnix, Joe Benzie, and myself worked with CBRE, the Rochester office. We initially screened 22 locations. Of those 22, we identified 7 to take tours on. After touring, we requested proposals on space from 5 of them. Based on the proposals, management team has consensus recommendation for the executive committee. The executive committee, members of the executive committee are going to tour the space just to get a look. And assuming there's no objections from the executive committee on the recommended space, we're seeking authorization to negotiate and enter into a lease at the March 14th RGRTA Board of Commissioners meeting. As a reminder, our corporate activity is through GTC, which is a subsidiary of RGRTA and our host agencies. GTC is a council, not able to design a lease, but the corporate entity for GTC is. Federal legislative funding update. Just last night, or I guess our news broke that it seems that congressional leadership is in agreement to move forward. Most recently, in mid-January, Congress passed and the President signed a 3rd continuing resolution that funded at least the highway programs and a few others through mid-January. That was set to expire tomorrow. Congress, what they announced yesterday was a 1-week extension or 1-week continuing resolution. It seems that the leadership from both houses and both sides of the aisle and the Appropriations Committee are in agreement on the big picture. They got to work through the details of the legislation and then give the senators and representatives the 72 hours they're supposed to get to consider bills before voting. So 1-week extension. Hopefully that means next week Congress gets it figured out. Because the House only came back yesterday, the Senate came back Monday. So we'll see what happens. And then continuing with the funding update, I've been continuing to give updates on the grant opportunities, the bipartisan infrastructure law, and unprecedented discretionary opportunities. I've got them on the slide. There's too numerous to repeat, but basically here's what's coming up. We did have the raise grants were due yesterday. To my knowledge, Monroe County is the only one in the region that applied. There may be others I'm just not aware of. But a few notice of funding opportunities that have been released with due dates, and then the U.S. Department of Transportation has done a really nice job of laying out the anticipated schedule. You see stuff coming in March, in the summer, and this information will be available through GTC, through urban races, anything that wants it. But then even through summertime with anticipated opportunities. So I will continue to report on this at every meeting. So again, a reminder, resources that USDOT has put together, this top link, key notices of funding opportunities. That is where I get that information about the programs and the timelines. I only listed those that seem most relevant to us and your agencies, but you're able to go on that and see what is coming up. Maybe other areas that are not transportation that your county is going to deal with. One of the things, the next link is the DOT Navigator, where you can plug in, hey, I'm a county, I'm looking to try to do this, and we'll spit back potential programs for you. They created a checklist that if you're going to go after discretionary grants, here's preparing for the checklist. Again, one of the things you need to lay out. And again, the commitment to funding projects in rural areas and working with rural areas, they have a portal dedicated to rural opportunities.
Jim, may I ask a question on that?
Yes.
I just have a quick question. Chris, did the state apply for any raise grants outside of region of your firm?
I'm aware of, Joel may know better than, I know he's on the line. Joel, do you hear that?
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and sorry, the answer was no, I was not able to hear. Please repeat the question.
Sure, Joel, this is Rich. I asked if NISDOC had applied for any raise grants this year outside, obviously Region 4 didn't, but outside in one of the other 10 regions. If there was a submittal for any, mega project that might be going on.
I'm not aware either, I apologize. That's all managed out of the main office.
Oh, yeah. No worries to you or Chris. Thank you. I was just curious.
Sounds good. No further questions? And we'll move on. The TIP staff modifications report was in a meeting packet. This time, anyone has any questions on that, they can ask staff.
And as a reminder, staff modifications are usually of such a minor nature, they're not even required to go to the plan committee. However, we do vet them through the TIP development committee, which represents all the counties in the city of Rochester at the table. We usually do that via email. Hey, it's simple change. In this case, we're tweaking the description to meet the intent and satisfy. Sometimes the feds want certain language, or ISDOT main office wants certain language. You might be increasing total cost. We're adding non-federal funds so that the project can be, the project budget can be fully identified in order to go out to bid. Again, these are minor changes that have been delegated to staff with TDC concerns. And if any TDC member objected, it would go to the plan committee. If any plan committee member objected, it would come to the board. So we have some fallbacks in that.
Okay, sounds good. There's some action items to consider this morning. I'd like to ask for a motion and a second to have Jody please give us an overview of the Unified Planning Program. Thank you for the motion and the second. Jody.
Second.
Oh,
I heard a second.
Chris. All right, thank you. So the Unified Planning Work Program, go to the next slide, Jim. Otherwise known as the UPWP, is the program of federally funded transportation planning activities that are going to be undertaken by GTC staff, our member agencies, and other jurisdictions and municipalities in the 9-county Genesee Finger Lakes region. This next fiscal year's UPWP will cover planning activities beginning April 1st of 2024, so this April, and end March 31st of next year, so 2025. Any project that's in the current UPWP that's not completed as of March 1st of this year will be rolled over into the new UPWP. So the solicitation for projects was released in the fall. We received 18 applications this round, requesting about $1.3 million. We had about $1.1 million available for new projects. Staff worked with the UPWP Development Committee, otherwise known as the UDC. This committee consists of representatives from our member agencies in the metropolitan planning area, so Monroe County, Livingston County, Ontario County, Wayne County, our GRTA, NISDOT, GFL, to prioritize the project proposals. The UDC met during November and December to review these applications. This effort resulted in a project list and a complete draft UPWP that we put out for public review. So the planning committee approved the list and the complete document for the 30-day public review that was conducted from January 15th through February 14th. During this time, we did receive several comments from one member of the public and a letter from Reconnect Rochester. We responded to these comments via email. We also received editorial comments on the narrative, just like the written part of the UPWP and our financial tables from the New York State Department of Transportation Planning Bureau in Albany. After this public review closed, we did receive an additional letter of support from Unicon. All these on February 19th, and all these public comments and the letters were provided in the meeting package. So once the UPWP is approved today, it will start April 1st, and we can get started on the new project. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to take them. And if anyone ever has a project idea, please let me know. Happy to discuss them outside of the application period. That's all I have for today.
Well, thank you very much for that presentation, Jody.
I just wanted to add, really appreciate the efforts of the UPWP Development Committee, representing the folks around the table, helping us create a better product for our community. The other thing, and maybe Ms. Jody said it already, the projects that are not funded, we do offer debriefing with the applicants to let them know how they might be able to make a stronger application next time, or what were the challenges. And quite honestly, when you have more funding than more requests than what's available, you can't fund everything, but we want to be able to give people feedback with that as well.
Yep, and I always help people during the process too. So if you do want to apply your questions on the application, you're always welcome to reach out. We try to make it very open, especially for the smaller, more local municipalities that don't have a lot of funding support.
Oh, sounds good. If there's no further discussion, I'd ask that we take some action and adopt this unified planning program. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's carried. Next, we'll move on to the UPWP project closeouts. I'd ask that we consider these all in one action unless someone objects to that. If they do, we could have a separate vote on a certain item. This time, does everyone feel comfortable at the end? These as a group. That being said, I'd ask for a motion and a second to have Jim go through these different closeouts and consider them. So, thank you, Jim, if you would please.
Yes. The first project up is the last mile or less site plan review. This project was conducted by Genesee Finger Lakes Regional Planning Council. The purpose of the project was to develop guides and provide associated training opportunities for municipalities to use during the site plan review process when considering active transportation trips. And a reminder, active transportation basically is human power, walking, bicycle, scooters, whatever. You're not having a motor push you. The process included a survey that was sent to municipalities across the region. And what please correct me if I'm wrong, was over 100 responses, which was a really good response rate. Doesn't usually happen in surveys. Monroe County conducts an annual land use training program. So as part of that, there was a session about the site plan review that they were able to piggyback on the existing process. The local government workshop that's held twice a year. The GFL staff presented at that as well in November. Seeing it's been spurring up interest. And then, the primary product is a guidebook that documented site plan review procedures throughout the region. It compiled best practices that municipalities may consider adopting on their own. And then a compilation of various resources that they can use. And hard to see on the screen, but example on the right, a checklist for site plan and things to consider if municipalities not already looking at it, they can potentially look at it. With that, any questions on the site plan? Yes. The next one is the City of Rochester Downtown Sign Assessment, and this is not a City of Rochester project, it's a City of Rochester location. So the project was conducted by the New York State Department of Transportation, and the purpose was to study the existing signage for I-490, Interloop Expressway and New York State touring routes throughout this, and surrounding the city of Rochester's downtown core. So you can see on the map, images on the screen, the map to the right is focused on the central business district. To the left, it extends it out a little bit down south of Strong Hospital, where 390, West Henrietta, East Henrietta connecting. So that was part of the review, making sure people knew how to get around. The process included an inventory of existing signs, their conditions, the appropriateness, given current conditions of meeting today's sign standards, identifying major traffic generators that are attracting people to make movements so that it can inform the future sign needs, recommendations related to replacement or relocation of existing signs, and then knowing, what we got going in the future, if there was a particular effort to look at the preferred concept from the Interloop North transformation project that would basically transform the existing expressway into street grid. And what does that mean for directing people to 490 over by the baseball stadium? I'm gonna call it the wrong name. the baseball stadium, and circulating without the Interloop being there. And also the city is progressing plans to re-envision Broad Street near the Blue Cross Arena to remove that and make it more pedestrian-oriented environment. So signs would have to change for those projects to happen. The primary product is a recommendation of the type and location of future signs to direct motorists. The next project is the Lakeville Corridor Strategic Plan. It's a project conducted by the town of Livonia. And the purpose was to develop a streetscape/design plan that focused on access management, stormwater mitigation, and active transportation improvements for Route 20A corridor from West Lake Road to East Lake Road, essentially in the hamlet of Lakeville. This process did include an inventory of existing conditions, engagement with area residents and businesses to understand the concerns and desires for the area, and identifying recommendations that address the needs in the area. The primary product is a strategic plan that identifies recommended capital projects, also any new services and programs, policy and planning efforts. One thing that was perhaps unique in our past history, but hopefully less unique going forward, this was really a holistic view. The town had identified some funding to make some sidewalk improvements, but then took a step back and said, hey, we've got other considerations here between traffic, access to Canisius Lake, other environmental considerations, stormwater management, and it was the idea of looking at, even from a resiliency standpoint, and with the road being that common link. So it was a little bit, when we look at the resiliency and environmental considerations, it was more than we've typically looked at in the past, and I think in a good way. The next project is the Village of Warsaw Active Transportation Plan. This project was conducted by the Village of Warsaw. The purpose of the project was to develop a forward-thinking and achievable active transportation plan that reflects the community's needs to increase pedestrian, bicyclist mobility through safe, comfortable, and interconnected multimodal network for people of all ages and abilities. So basically, we want to make it easier to get around the village without an automobile. The process included inventory of existing conditions, engagement with area residents and businesses to again understand their concerns and desires for the area, identify recommendations that address those needs. Primary recommendations are land use and zoning updates to encompass multimodal traffic, not just favoring automobiles. Adding multiple trail access points and developing an inclusive bicycle network, giving people viable alternatives to the automobile. Installation of streetlights and street trees to enhance the pedestrian route, and then physical changes in the central business district to improve the movement of people. You see on the slide, curb extensions. The idea of at the intersections where there's already a crosswalk, if you extend the curbs, you can create places for parking lanes, but you also shorten the distance that people have to cross the street, and they're typically up a few inches, so they're more visible to the drivers coming down, less of a risk of pedestrians being hit by drivers because of disabilities. And with that, I'm doing my best to answer any questions you have.
Well, thanks for the presentation, Jim. I guess at this time, if there's no further discussion, we consider an action to adopt these project closeouts. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So these do stand as closed out at this time. Next, we just have one type of amendment. I ask for a motion and a second to give Jim explain what the one amendment is. So, a motion and a second, please. Staff, second. Jim, you have the.
Sure. The Federal Transit Administration has indicated the need to change the schedule on 11 projects. Basically, these projects were originally anticipated to be included in a grant agreement by September 30th or the end of federal fiscal year 2023. This did not happen, and that federal fiscal year has been closed. These funds are not available to any other project, so we want to be able to make them available. The proposed change will allow RGRTA and Lifespan to move forward with these 11 projects. And since the federal transit funds are allowed to roll over from one fiscal year to the next, fiscal constraint is maintained. Essentially, it's a schedule change for all of them. We thought it was simpler to do it on one resolution rather than 11 resolutions because it's the same situation. I do have slides. This slide lists the 11 projects in summary. Again, the first 10 are RGRTA projects, and number 11 is with the organization called Lifespan, and they're expanding the platform that was started in Livingston County to match up ride matching. Essentially, you enter the parameters of the user, whether you're an agency or an individual, and then it comes back with options. We are working through some federal grants to expand that to include Ontario County and Monroe County. And they actually went live a few weeks ago here to their Adopt Help. First time I saw Adopt Help domain. And again, it's creating opportunities. You enter in information about the individual and their needs, and it comes back with options for potential revenue. It was in the package, but just to reiterate on the slides, all the specific changes to dollar amounts again, they're going from one federal fiscal year to the next. With that, answer any questions.
Well, thank you for the presentation, Jim. Hearing no further discussion, I ask that we adopt this one fifth amendment this time. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, that's carried. Next, I'd ask for a motion and a second to have Jody provide an overview of the performance measures report. Thank you. Jody, if you would, please.
Sure, thank you. So the highway, go to the next slide. The Highway Safety Improvement Program Report and the Highway Safety Strategic Plan are updated annually by New York State Department of Transportation main office and the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Council. These two agencies collaborate on setting statewide targets. Just as a reminder, GTC has previously agreed to support the state's targets and include them in both the National Performance Measures Report, which is incorporated into our Long Range Transportation Plan, as well as the current TIP, which is the 23 to 27 TIP. These targets are updated annually, so it's only the target for the old target for 2023 and the new target for 2024 is shown on the screen. These targets are based on a 5-year history of crashes, so back through 2021. NISDOT did note in that safety fact sheet that was presented in your packet that they set a conservative a conservative target of a 0.5% decrease this time between 2021 and 2024 due to the impacts of COVID on crashes and vehicle miles traveled. So next slide. So the next slide shows the transit safety performance targets. These are provided by our GRTA, and they are included in the Public Transit Safety Agency Plan. This product is required of all urban service providers. Back in December, the GRTA Board of Commissioners approved the 2023 to 2024 Public Transit Agency Safety Plan. And again, GTC has previously agreed to support our GRTA's targets as well. Again, they go in the National Performance Measurement Report, which is required of our long-range plan and the current TIP. You will note the van pool mode of service has ended, and therefore it's been deleted from the FTA's National Transit Database profile for RTS, so we took the van pool off of the target slide today. That's it. It's just an update of targets that NISDOT and our GRTA set for safety. Take any questions.
Thank you, Jody. Hearing no further questions or discussions, I'd ask we take a vote to consider this action item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's carried. Next, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Scott Understitch. Discussion of the results of changing of officers with the GTC board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, well, I'll read the page here. Pursuant to the GTC bylaws, officers, chairperson, and vice chairperson must be elected from among voting board members to serve 2 years. Elections are to occur at the annual meeting. That is defined as the first quarterly meeting of the calendar year, which is today. The last election of officers was held on February 24th, 2022. So in accordance with the GTC bylaws, acting GTC chairperson David Lefevre appointed a nominating committee in January 2024 to nominate candidates for the offices of chairperson and vice chairperson. The committee included Angela Ellis, Rich Perrin, and myself. The nominating committee offers the following candidates for your consideration and action at today's meeting. For chairperson, the Honorable Peter Eaglesby, and for vice chairperson, the Honorable James Brady. At this time, though, we'd like to accept if there's any other nominations from the floor that would like to be considered. None. So we need a motion in the. Yes. Okay, so I guess I'll
Hold on a second, the card just freaked out.
Apologize for the glitch there. So this time I would like to entertain a motion and a second to thank you, Rich. And can the nominating committee?
That makes sense.
Sure, okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to say support it.
Okay, no, right. Second, thank you. So hearing no other nominations from the floor, say entertain a vote to accept Peter Eaglesby and James Brady as chairperson and vice chairperson coming term. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations.
You should have been a salesman. And I'll just say this, I was talking to Scott earlier, and I remember going to my first GTC transportation meeting in a little house by the parking garage. Carl Horn, Carl Horn was there, and Monroe County and the city of Rochester. I walked in and he said, "Can I help you?" I said, "Well, I'm Wayne County Highway Superintendent. I'm here to represent. Sit over there." So I went home and I read the book, found out that all the counties had a vote. So I got The next meeting, I got Genesee, Orleans, Livingston, Wyoming, Ontario counties to come with me. And we walked in, and he looked at everybody. He said, "Can I help you?" I said, "We're here to vote." But from then on, like Scott, we recall, everybody started attending the meetings, and now it's.
Right, that was kind of the momentum that started the collaboration that GTC enjoys today.
There was Carl Horn, Steve Gleason, Rich Curran, thanks for his and then you. Thank you.
We have come a long way since those days. We have a very cooperative process with great relationship with NISTOT Region 4. Do a lot of things fully integrated, and to the credit of the team that's over there. And the credit to all the counties and the city who come together. We've had a very good working relationship at this table because I think people come in, yes, they have their agency interests at heart, but even more so they have the region at heart. I think of a prime example several years ago, gosh, we had Mary Pat Hancock from Genesee County needed some assistance with getting state legislation to allow tandem trailers to go a little further off the thruway to get to a business that was within a half mile. It was prohibited. I'm trying to remember, was it Bill Sullivan or somebody from City Council? Rick Hannon, yeah.
Special assistant to the mayor.
Yeah, a special assistant to the mayor who, went to Assemblyman Gann, and because of the collaboration in this room, City of Rochester helped Genesee County get something that they needed to support businesses. Doesn't happen, in a lot of places. Our region has a great history of collaboration and together. And I think it shows when you look at the Regional Economic Development Council, when you look at different initiatives, there is a lot of collaboration in our region. We'll put a lot of effort into that. And I, for one, as covering such a broad area with a broad range of interest, appreciate the work that all of you do and being able to serve the residents of the region. But I also wanted to thank David for his past few years of leadership. He stepped into the role early in COVID. It was a chaotic time, and he just guided us through a big shift. We did business completely different, hybrid meetings, a time of significant change in how we interact, but not how we conduct ourselves, if that makes sense. We still held on to that collaborative effort and working together and finding ways to continue to work with each other.
Thank you, Jim. It's been a great honor and pleasure to work and get to know everyone better. And certainly, Jim mentioned my first meeting was, I believe, virtual.
Yeah.
First one, and we went on from there. So thank you, everyone, for the meeting over the meter at this time.
Dave, thank you. As your vice chair, we do a lot of texts going back and forth. You've been making phone calls, and appreciate your guidance. And we were working obviously with the organization that supports us here too. Past couple of years. At this time, is there any new business? Any from staff? Our next meeting is June 13th here in this room. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. So moved. Scott? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
See you again.